This is Skills That Succeed, a communication guide for risk-based financial advisors, written by Russell Collins, recipient of the Order of Australia Medal for his services to the financial advice industry in Australia.
Preface. The idea for this book first emerged in the late 1980s at an industry talk given in Brisbane. At the conclusion of my presentation, Frank Daly, a highly regarded and respected advisor in our industry at the time, complimented me on my talk and then asked, "When are we going to see the book?" I asked him what he meant in a very complimentary way, mentioned that he could not recall a more simplistic explanation of the importance of selling life insurance and how to go about doing it. He further suggested that to his knowledge no one had ever written a book on the topic in Australia, and that I could be doing the industry a great favour if I undertook the task. High praise from such a respected person in our industry. I vividly recall both his suggestion and my, without much thought to it, prompt reply along the lines of, "I wasn't worthy of the task, and even if I was, I would never have the time to undertake it." Strangely, however, Frank had planted the seed of an idea that never left me over the years. Sadly, he passed away just as I was inquiring of his whereabouts to let him know about the book. On separate occasions, usually after I'd spoken at industry events, others made similar suggestions, but I always used the same no-time excuse to change the subject. Then in September 2010, I had lunch with a financial advisor from Melbourne, Darryl LeBroy. Darryl had heard me speak at the Financial Planning Association's annual conference in Melbourne in 2009 and arranged for me to do a one-day workshop for his group in May 2010. At the conclusion of the workshop, he made similar comments to that of Frank Daly regarding the book. Over lunch the following September, he reminded me of a comment I often made during our one-day workshop, that when speaking to new prospects, he should use the opportunity where appropriate to talk in terms of, "if you had died yesterday," in order to create a note of urgency in getting people to address a specific situation. He said, "Russell, if you died yesterday, everything you have in your brain would have died with you, and as a consequence, you would have missed a golden opportunity to have left your legacy to our industry." That last statement by Darryl caught my attention. My legacy to the industry. Darryl was in fact pointing out that my current sharing was my living legacy. But if I died without recording that knowledge, then everything I had learned from others and had further developed myself would go to the grave with me. At that time, I could then see an opportunity to give something back to the industry that had been so good to me. I concluded our lunch by promising him I would give the matter serious consideration. So thank you, Darryl. Finally, in December 2010, I felt the time was right to seriously consider the project. After discussing this with my wife, Jackie, who was totally supportive of the project, I committed myself to put pencil to paper and undertake my legacy to the industry. I started out quite enthusiastically for a few months, but frankly, after a few chapters, I began to doubt whether I really had something to offer to the industry, and so I put the project on hold. Then one day in 2011, during a game of golf with an industry friend, Rob Pedersen, he made a highly complimentary comment that made me recommit to the task. So thank you, Rob. You know, as I reflect on my career, I keep coming back to how grateful I am that I found a career path that brought not only meaning and value to my life, but also kept me excited and motivated for 4 decades. There were many highlights during the 40-year period, far too many to mention, but a couple stand out. First, the $1 Million Round Table. MDRT is the premier association of financial professionals. Founded in 1928, it is located in the United States and runs an annual conference in June each year. That conference is the greatest hall of learning for all advisors who want to build a professional career in the financial service industry. I attended my first MDRT meeting in 1973 and it changed my life. For the first time, I saw the opportunity of developing a professional practice as well as sales skills which provide an ongoing service throughout my career for my clients should they live too long, die too soon or become
Sample complete. Ready to continue?